All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this first in our family orientation webinar series called Successfully Transitioning Your Student into the College. My name is Matthew Hendricks. I'm the Senior Director of College Programming and Orientation, and I want to thank you for joining us tonight and welcome you here to this webinar this evening. We want to encourage you to ask questions as the evening goes, so please make sure you put your questions in the Q&A box that's there, and we will try to get to as many of those as we can as we go through the evening. I also want to call your attention to some of the other events that we have coming up very soon. We've got our Navigating Campus Opportunities panel, which will be taking place next week on September the 14th at 6 o'clock, and our International Family Orientation, which will be taking place on Thursday, September the 16th at 8:30 in the morning. And then, of course, we will look forward to hosting many of you on campus for the start of orientation. Throughout the summer, we've had a number of other webinars that have taken place, and all of those have been recorded, just as tonight's will. And you'll be able to find those on the orientation website. So that that address is, or that URL is orientation.uchicago.edu. And you'll want to click on Incoming Student Communications. And when you get in there, you're going to find several drop downs there, and you'll find one that says webinar recordings, and all of those are in there, including the safety and security panel that we did on September 1st. Once this one is wrapped up, we will have this one there and the same for our next two. So we invite you to kind of look back there if there's anything that you may have missed as we've gone through the summer. Now I want to turn it over to our moderator. She is the Assistant Dean of Students for Administration, and her name is Melinda Wasonga, and she's going to walk us through all of the rest of our evening. So thank you very much, and we'll look forward to your questions in that Q&A box.
Hi, thanks, Matt. Good evening, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Melinda Wasonga, and I am the Assistant Dean for Administration in the College Dean of Students Office. I'd like to welcome all of the parents, the grandparents, guardians, and other significant adults who are joining us tonight. We're really appreciative that you're taking the time to attend our session. We're going to talk about how to successfully transition your student to college. We'll hopefully give you a good starting point for what we know will be a 4-year partnership with you. We understand that you are the ones who receive the panic phone call when your students are exhausted from studying all night and think that they just tanked their chemistry quiz, or when they've had a disagreement with their roommate, or when they are just not feeling that they will be able to thrive at UChicago. Our hope today is to give you some tools and resources to which you can refer as you're having those conversations with your student. So I will start with giving you an overview of some of the ways that the staff in my office, the College Dean of Students Office, add value to the student experience. Our college programming and orientation team are tasked with celebrating students as they enter campus with orientation and when they leave campus. Are we having some problems with the audio?
I can hear you, Melinda.
I don't think so.
Okay. Oh, okay. I saw something come through chat. Sorry about that. And when they leave campus during convocation, while also offering developmental programming around academic and career exploration during the time in between orientation and graduation. Staff in the College Center for Student Success provide targeted support for our first generation and lower income students and students from immigrant communities. Students receive constant guidance around academic and extracurricular experiences that will help them get the most out of their time at UChicago from our college advisors. And you'll hear from the College Advising Office in a moment. And finally, support for students going on and coming off leaves of absence and support around disciplinary occurrences comes from our team in the Office of College Community Standards. All the staff that I've just mentioned are part of the College Dean of Students Office, and you should feel free to direct your students to us at any time. I'm joined this evening by representatives from 4 offices that are key partners in aiding with the social, emotional, and physical well-being of your students. They will introduce themselves in the areas of the institution that they represent and will give a brief overview of the services and how they support students. We have Chris Strakalski, Assistant Dean of Students in the College Academic Advising Office, Keith Rossner, Senior Associate Director of Residence Life and Housing and Residence Life, Meeta Kumar, Director of Student Counseling, UChicago Student Wellness, and Eric Heath, Associate Vice President for Safety and Security in the Department of Safety and Security Leadership. After hearing from my colleagues, we will then follow with a brief question and answer period. As Matt mentioned earlier, you may submit questions using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. There will likely be questions that we will be unable to answer this evening. Our team will comb through those questions and will update the goforward.uchicago.edu FAQ website as appropriate. A reminder, the session is also being recorded, and after captioning, the recording will be posted on the orientation website. I'll now hand it over to Chris Strakalski, Assistant Dean of Students in the College Academic Advising Office. Chris?
Thanks, Melinda. Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Strakalski, Assistant Dean of Students in the college. And so on behalf of the Dean of Students Office, and then in particular, the College Academic Advising Office, I'd like to welcome you to the University of Chicago and thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. It's good to have you here. Heading into this new academic year, I think our conversation tonight is especially important as we find ourselves trying to relearn how to manage in an unknown world in which all of the variables continue to change. As you may know, hopefully you know, the college academic advising staff have already met with each of your students at least once this summer. So in those conversations, they've heard the excitement in some cases, the anxiety in others, and in some, the frustration that students have experienced. But hopefully they've been able to answer all of the questions that your students have had. And my hope for tonight is that we'll be able to do the same for you. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you the role of the College Academic Advising Office in your students' academic life. The advising office is currently comprised of 23 full-time advisors. We are currently looking for a couple of additional advisors, so feel free to apply if you'd like. And so when we're at full staff, we'll have 25 full-time advisors in our office. It's a very talented group of advisors that come from a variety of professional and educational backgrounds. Some of them have been here for as long as 20 plus years. Others are newer professionals who are coming with again, a variety of experiences. As full-time advisors, they do not have other responsibilities within the college, such as instruction. They don't do any teaching, and none of their administrative duties are non-advising related. So they are truly focused on advising their students during their tenure here at the college. The College Advising Office is one of the few offices on campus who meet with every student during their time here. So your students will come in contact with our office. I mentioned that your students have had at least one meeting with their college advisor. In addition to this initial meeting, they'll meet with their advisor coming up here in a couple of weeks during orientation. That will be in a large group format. So the advisors will meet with all of their advisees during that time. And then they'll also have one-on-one meetings at least 3 more times this academic year, once each in the autumn, winter, and spring quarters. While these are the mandatory meetings, your students are more than welcome to schedule additional advising appointments throughout the year, and they can also communicate with their advisor over email and phone. If your student's advisor happens to be unavailable on a particular day, we also have an advisor on call every day that can answer quick questions during normal business hours. So that's an option for your student if they find that they need a quick question answered. During the first year, advisors are really going to focus on developing the advisor-advisee relationship with your student. This means that they're going to take the time to talk with your student about their interests, their goals, as well as their concerns. And they probably started that conversation already during their first meeting this summer. Advisors act as resources and sounding boards. They'll engage their students in idea exploration on everything from how to approach faculty members during office hours which for some students can be an intimidating proposition, which degree program best fits their future aspirations, and in some cases, how to talk with parents about no longer wanting to go to medical school. Advisors are not guidance counselors, so this is a bit of a shift potentially from the experience they had in high school. What they really are thought partners with your students. That is, college students have autonomy over their educational pursuits. Advisors are there to help the students explore options and manage all of the different puzzle pieces that will eventually come together to make up their major, minor, concentration, as well as any extra and co-curricular activities that they choose to engage in. Advisors will help lay out all the options in addition to the possible roadblocks that your student may face and help them to break through some of those roadblocks. In the end, this is the student's academic experience, and the choices are theirs to make, and the advisors are there to support them in those choices. This has been somewhat implicit what I've already shared, but the advising relationship is between the student and the advisor. And for this relationship to grow, your student must be confident that the things they share with their advisor are private. If your student happens to invite you to attend a meeting with their advisor, you're more than welcome to do so. However, advisors will not meet with parents without the student present. If you do have concerns about your student, you're welcome to reach out to your student's advisor, but the advisor will always ask your student for their permission to respond and then loop the student into that conversation. Advisors can answer general questions, but will not share specific information about your student's academics or other details. In fact, they'll actually encourage your student to have these conversations with you directly. I'll close my few minutes here with a couple of suggestions that we'd like for you to pass on to your students, particularly when you sense that they're worried or feeling the pressure of both the increasing responsibility that they're bearing, as well as the increasing independence that they now have. Number one, please tell them to ask for help. We're on their side. They don't have to go through this journey alone, and they should rely on their coaches, their resident heads, their instructors, and of course their advisors to help them along the way. And in fact, the advisor will be their biggest advocate. We tell students that they can't be successful academically if they're not successful socially, emotionally, and physically, or if they're not healthy in those areas. And you'll hear from some of my colleagues about ways that they can remain hopefully healthy in those areas. It's a sign of maturity, not weakness, to reach out for help and support when needed. So please have them ask for help. Also tell them that they belong here. They were admitted to the University of Chicago because we all believe that they can be successful. Now, this doesn't mean that everything will work out perfectly on the first try. Sometimes it takes multiple attempts to find the right extracurricular activity, the right major, or the right research position on campus. And your students may struggle through general chemistry or calculus in a way that they've never struggled before. That's okay. Learning how to learn at this level can take some time. Meeting new people and developing social connections with people that you haven't known your whole life can also take time. Now, this is all part of the normal transition process, and students will go through this process at varying speeds. And number three, tell them it's okay to miss home, to miss their dog, to miss their little brother or sister, their high school friends, even the bed that they've slept in for the last 18 or 19 years. It may take a while for the University of Chicago to feel like home, but in the vast majority of cases, if they're patient and given a chance, they should feel pretty comfortable by the time winter or spring quarter rolls around. That's what I wanted to say tonight. I appreciate your time and for allowing us to have the opportunity to work with your amazing and talented students. And I will turn it back to Melinda for the next presenter.
Thanks, Chris. So next we have Heath Rosner from Housing and Residence Life.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time, and thank you, Linda, for the warm welcome. My name is Heath Rosner. I'm the Senior Associate Director of Housing and Residence Life, and I've had the privilege of working at the University of Chicago for the past 5.5 years, and the privilege of working in higher ed for the past 17. First, I want to thank you in advance for your help in making move-in for the class of 2025 a smooth and smashing success. It's always an exciting time at the university, And while we will once again take precautions to ensure the safety of our students and their guests and all of you, as we are very excited to have students return to campus. My hope is to provide some useful information on Housing and Residence Life and how to partner with us to help support and successfully transition your student to university through their first year in student housing. As you're well aware, we've all been stretched and challenged in so many ways over the past 18 months, and we will continue to make adjustments as needed in many aspects of our work in housing and residence life. These changes, however, have not altered our commitment to foster communities designed and dedicated to supporting students through both wonderful and difficult experiences. Ordinarily, when we give this talk to parents and incoming students, we talk about 3 key aspects of support for your students' transition to college and dorm life: patience, boundaries, and non-judgment. I want to start with an important call to action to help transition your student to college life. I like to ask for your partnership in starting the year off thoughtfully, safely, and with a focus on helping our students make smart choices. While we're able to ease many of these restrictions that were in place for the last 18 months due to COVID, we are still urging students to be thoughtful and responsible when electing to participate in large gatherings off campus. The allure of the college party, especially to students who are denied many rites of passage over the past 2 academic years, is unmistakable. There is no amount of programming Housing and Residence Life can provide in the residence halls that can or will compete with some of those offerings. Nevertheless, we will try, and we are hosting countless programs for students to enjoy, but we are still not naive that students will go off campus. I'm therefore asking you to please, before taking leave of your student, talk to them about the privilege they have of being able to reside on campus. The class of 2025 has the ability and responsibility to help set the tone for the year and help enable thousands of students to remain on campus and thrive in their house communities. For our part, Housing and Residence Life will continue to provide communication to you about what is happening on campus, in our residence halls, and our continued expectations for your student. We know that while things are changing, this is once again a particularly challenging time, and we are all worried about how incoming students will adjust to campus life. We are focused on staying connected, providing campus resources, and developing rich house communities for everyone. And despite the difficulties we will face, we know that the UChicago house experience is amazing and will continue to be amazing. Specifically, in thinking about your student and their growth and needs as they move to campus, they will need your emotional support. College can be challenging. For many, it's a time of confusing relationships, redefined friendships, academic pressures, and transition. Many have had a hard time at first, and this year is no exception. Students have a tendency to call home when they're having an emotionally difficult day. Many choose to share positive experiences with their friends and a higher proportion of the negative experiences with their families. You can provide support and encouragement by asking your student to share some of their successes as well as their challenges. And remember, they're seeking a sounding board for their experience and not necessarily always action from you. Feel free to ask them if they've talked to their resident head or resident assistant or resident dean or college advisor. All can be sources of support and guidance for your student. They'll need room for mistakes, and students will make mistakes as they explore what it means to be an adult. Some mistakes are more detrimental than others, and many will be important life lessons. In Housing and Residence Life, our approach is to talk with students and help them understand their decisions. Our approach is generally non-punitive, and we always try to deal with situations at the lowest level possible. If your student should find themselves in any disciplinary or other difficult position, please know that we always encourage students to call you. And we do not generally discuss specifics with you. We are always happy to receive your call. In some instances this year, when we are particularly concerned about your student, you may receive a call from us. And as a matter of course, we tell your student when we will speak with you. We also want to create trust. Parents who have been involved in their students' lives are no longer involved in day-to-day decision-making. Parents wonder what the student is doing when they haven't heard from them. And in addition to safety concerns, they worry about the choices being made in other areas. As part of that trust we are building with students, the resident head staff relationship is with your student. For you, please call your student's assistant director of residence life. If you have concerns or questions or need help or want to share information that you think would be helpful to us getting them to the support that they need. Assistant directors are intentionally the primary point of contact for parents and guardians and loved ones. Their contact information can be found on the HRL website. This year, physical distance may seem even farther, and you, parents and guardians, may be particularly concerned about your student. Parents can help by maintaining a healthy distance and encouraging students to utilize the resources and the staff in Housing and Residence Life. Set a time to check in with your student, one that you both agree on and one that you both keep. Remember that as students navigate college in UChicago and begin to grow, they may call home less. That's not uncommon and is healthy, and you are not alone. Our resident staff also note that by spring quarter, first-year students seem to no longer need them in the same way or the same level of frequency. Our goal, just like yours, is to create more autonomy. Regardless of the frequency of need, Housing and Residence Life employs a large professional and paraprofessional and student staff to operate its residence halls. This includes resident heads who are advanced doctoral students, professional staff and ladder faculty, and resident assistants, upper class students who live in each house community and deliver academic support and help cultivate house and community leadership, provide resources and guidance, and who challenge students to think about their community and how they impact it. You'll hear about things like house meeting, house trips, and study break, which are always a wonderful way for students to get connected to their community. We encourage you to talk with your student about the importance of taking responsibility for their experience in the residence halls. If there is a community conflict or somebody that's struggling to communicate, our staff can be very helpful and provide tips and tools to make communication easier. I'm excited for you and your student at this remarkable time in their lives, and please know that the entire Housing and Residence Life staff is ready to successfully help you and your student navigate this new and exciting adventure. Thank you. At this time, I'll turn it over to Melinda. And sorry, and to Tamita Kumar from Student Wellness.
Thank you, Heath. Good evening, everyone. I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. My name is Smita Kumar, and I'm a psychologist and Director of Student Counseling at UChicago Student Wellness. You have probably been through a lot as a family to get your student to this point, so congratulations to all of you. I can understand how excited you may be feeling for your student as they start a new chapter, and then given the ongoing strange and stressful times, perhaps also a bit anxious and worried. Are they going to be okay? Will they like it here? Will they be safe and successful? I'm here to tell you about the array of wellness resources available to your students, as well as provide some tips and suggestions about how you can support your student from afar. So together we can all look out for our students and our community. So at UChicago Student Wellness, our mission is to provide students with comprehensive and high quality health, counseling, and wellness services to support their academic, personal, and professional success. For students' physical health, our medical team is available for routine and acute care appointments, physicals, or medical advice, including questions about COVID. Students can call to schedule appointments. After business hours, there's a nurse advice line that connects students to an experienced registered nurse who can answer healthcare questions and explain care options. Whether students are looking for support or struggling with more serious concerns, UChicago Student Wellness also offers confidential, accessible, and culturally sensitive mental health services. We see a range of presenting concerns, including transition from home to school, academic stress, relationship issues, depression, anxiety, substance misuse, eating concerns, among others. You should know that students can talk to a mental health clinician by phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Students can also schedule a virtual initial appointment by calling us or through an online booking system through the student portal. Students have access to short-term individual counseling sessions and ongoing psychiatric treatment. Clinical case managers can also assist students with referrals to mental health specialists and clinicians in our local area community. In addition to this, there are informal resources like anonymous drop-in consultations with our therapists, weekly virtual workshops that cover a range of mental health and wellness topics to help students cope and stay resilient. Throughout the academic year, we encourage students to seek help, no matter how big or small the concern is seen. Students can also access virtual programs like virtual mindfulness meditation, wellness coaching, interactive alcohol and other drugs educational programs, restorative yoga, and virtual refresh sleep program. All of these are to really support and help them develop healthy behaviors, reduce stress and anxiety, and improve overall well-being throughout the academic year. Now, it's important to note that moving to college is a significant developmental journey. There are so many firsts and new experiences in the life of a student, from learning to manage their time, make new friends, learning to balance the freedom they have with a sense of responsibility, to the more abstract and esoteric issues like exploring and developing a sense of identity, finding meaning, making career choices. Something that can be really profound for our students is they have been used to being the best and the brightest, but now they will be living and learning with the best and brightest from all over the world. These are all significant developmental challenges and a transition to developing new life skills. So there will be excitement and confidence boosting experiences to disappointments and challenges. It's all a process and takes time. While we want to support the independence and autonomy of our students, we also know that you will continue to play a valuable role, even from afar. We know that many students are also likely to go first to their families and friends when they are struggling. So here are some quick suggestions for you to support your student. If you haven't done so already, please talk to them openly and honestly about the upcoming transition. Ask them what they feel most concerned about and what they feel most excited about. And take the time to really listen. Discuss with them the ideas for developing a plan for self-care. Each student is going to need something different that works for them. And please, please encourage them to ask for help and make use of UChicago resources. There is an amazing network in place here, and seeking help early and in a timely way bodes well for our students. For more information on all of the wellness resources, you can visit our website at wellness.uchicago.edu. I wish you and your family good health and look forward to supporting your students in this upcoming year. Thank you. Melinda?
Thank you, Mita. So finally, we'll hear from Eric Heath from our security.
Thank you, Melinda. Good evening. My name is Eric Heath, and I serve as the Associate Vice President for Safety and Security at the university. I've worked for the university for 9 years, and I just recently marked my 21st year in campus public safety. I'm happy to be here this evening to share with you how our department serves our students and our greater community. Created in 2009, the Department of Safety and Security is a consolidated public safety agency whose main operational components include transportation and parking, campus security and security technology, emergency management, public health, environmental health and safety, and our largest and most visible unit, the University of Chicago Police Department. When I think about the areas of our department that our students interact with most, it is transportation, our security officers who work in and around our campus, and our police officers who respond to emergency situations. Each of these units have an integral role in making sure your student has a safe and secure environment in which to live and learn. Our department offers a robust transportation network that operates both on campus and in the surrounding communities. Detailed route maps and transportation options for your students can be found on our website, safety-security@uchicago.edu, but also on our mobile safety app called UChicago Safe. Our security officers, also known as our safety ambassadors, are carefully stationed throughout our campus in the evenings as a supplement to our police department. This year, we are expanding our safety ambassador coverage to the surrounding communities of Hyde Park, Kenwood, and Woodlawn. Our safety ambassadors are the cornerstone of our safety escort program, and upon request, will walk with anyone who feels uncomfortable doing so in the evenings and late nights. Anyone can request a safety escort by contacting our department or through the UChicago Safe mobile safety app. In the rare instances that students need service from the University of Chicago Police Department, our nationally accredited law enforcement agency serves our campus 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Our law enforcement team works in partnership with the various units within campus student life, some of whom you met today, including the Dean's On Call program, residential life, and student counseling services. They all work in partnership to ensure your students get the appropriate amount of support should they need during an emergency situation. UCPD can also be reached by phone or through the UChicago Safe mobile safety app. As you might have noticed, the recurring resource that I've mentioned is the UChicago Safe mobile safety app. It is free to any community member and can be downloaded on an Android or Apple device. Not only will your student have access to a host of safety-related resources and emergency contacts, but they will also have quick access to the Dean On Call program, student counseling services, as well as information regarding other local support services. Please ask your students to download UChicago Safe before they get to campus. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you and your students over the next 4 years. With that, I'll turn it back over to Melinda for our Q&A session.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for the information that you just provided. Please remember that if you have any questions that you would like for the panelists to answer, you may enter them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So I think we'll go ahead and get started with some of the questions that we've received so far. So I'll first kick it over to Chris from Advising. Chris, can you talk about how the advising meetings will take place in the audit quarter?
Sure. So until students are on campus, the any meetings that are scheduled between now and then will occur virtually. So students will continue to meet with their advisor that way. I did see one question asking about the orientation week. There was some disappointment that that meeting, I believe, was going to be held virtually as well. That is a large group, all advisee meeting. And so unfortunately, that does have to be held virtually in order to accommodate the number of students that each advisor will be meeting with. And that will be a general information session and a chance for the advisor to pass along information for the good of the group. Once students are on campus, the expectation is that the meetings, for the most part, will be in person. So once, when the student has their required autumn meeting, that will likely be in the advisor's office. We'll provide instructions on how that's going to work. We will be asking that if students are ill legitimately, that we can do it virtually in those instances, but otherwise, we're going to do our best to meet with them in person.
Great, thanks, Chris. I think that we'll send this one over to Eric. Eric, can you talk a little bit about the precautions that students can take themselves regarding safety and how parents and guardians can talk with their students about how to keep safe while on campus in Chicago and in Chicago in general?
Yeah, sure. Chicago itself is a large urban environment and city, not without its challenges. Fortunately, our campus is located in a relatively safe area of the south side of Chicago, Hyde Park, Kenwood, and Woodlawn. have experienced, successful reductions in crime over the last 10 years in comparison to, pretty much the last half decade. What I would generally recommend, for students and for parents, I think is taking advantage of the mobile safety app, but I won't reiterate that because I've already talked about it a little bit. But also I think taking advantage of looking at our website, looking at crime information, but more importantly, staying informed by signing up for some of our notifications regarding, incidents that do occur both on and off campus. Students are automatically enrolled to receive timely warnings should there be an incident on campus. However, we do offer several opt-in resources on our website. If you go to our website and click on the icon that says Stay Informed, there's opportunities to enroll for opt-in notifications regarding off-campus crime so that people are aware and understand of what's going on off campus. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Okay, I think this question is for Heath and housing. Heath, are parents able to visit their students in the residence halls after move-in?
So not after move-in. So move-in helpers are allowed. There's signups for that through the student portal. Students are allowed 2 move-in helpers for move-in day. There's a window of time, generally 4 hours. We are not policing that, but encouraging you. Yes, if you want to drop your student off, you take the safety precautions of wearing a mask in the hall. But after parents and guardians leave, there's no other visitation of outside guests. Students will be allowed to visit each other in the residence halls for sure this year, and there are fewer restrictions in place. But off-campus students, parents, guests from off-campus will not be allowed. We'll revisit that over the course of the year, but that's how we're starting in the fall quarter.
Great, thanks. Eric, can you talk a little bit about the security on campus in the walkways and around campus?
Sure. I think I was just reading that question, and the question was about how secure are the crosswords and the walkways. We are an institution that has most of our sidewalks and thoroughfares and roads are all public property. We have a lot of vehicular traffic throughout the day, which is one of the reasons we have a police department and works very closely with traffic enforcement and thinking through the safety of pedestrians. When we talk about walkways and people walking to and from residential buildings all across campus, violent crime on our campus is rare. But when we do have incidents, of course, we notify our community about them to give them a heads up and a warning should we believe they're a continued threat. We also have, and I mentioned our safety ambassador program, we have a significant amount of safety ambassadors who are stationed carefully throughout our campus through the evenings, starting at around 4 in the afternoon generally, all the way through 2 o'clock in the morning, because we know we have a lot of pedestrian traffic. If you're here on campus, when you're dropping your students off and you look at the evenings and you're around in the evening times, you'll notice that campus is very well lit, and you'll notice our safety ambassadors wearing their blue shirts and coats. Please feel free to introduce yourselves, let them know that you're coming in with your students. They'll be happy to give you directions and tell you where you need to go. So thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Nita, we're wondering if you can talk a little bit about the services that counseling is offering that are going to be in person and those that will be accessible virtually this autumn quarter.
Yeah, so we are offering a hybrid kind of mix here for students. As I said, the initial appointments and psychiatric evaluations will be virtual. And then the clinicians will talk to the students about the best next steps for them, whether it's an in-person meeting is best indicated or ongoing virtual meeting. So both of those options are going to be available. Also for all of our other options, we are again offering a range here. Some of our anonymous drop-in consultations like Let's Talk, some of them are going to be virtual, some are going to be in person. Similarly with support spaces and groups. So as we're sort of shifting a little bit this year, we are really trying to play around a little bit with all of those and see what the autumn quarter is like.
Thanks, Mita. Okay, I think this one's back to Chris for advising. Chris, can you talk about how incoming students can form study groups or connect with help if they need help with either a core class or another kind of course?
Sure. So I think a lot of those kind of things will happen naturally within their living environments and classrooms. They'll connect with other students and form their own study groups. We see this happen all the time. If a student is having trouble in a particular class, and especially in the core, there are core tutors that are available that's run out of the Dean of Students office. So we have students who are there to specifically help with quite a few of the core classes that are a part of the core. So there are some formal programs on campus as well as all of the informal gatherings of students as they connect in the classroom.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, I think we have back to housing. Are there items that students should or should not bring into the residence hall?
Yes, on our website, we have a what to bring and what not to bring list. I think that was also emailed out to all students as well, but it's on our website under move-in. And there's a PDF on there that you can download about things that are allowed and not allowed in the residence halls.
Great, thank you. Okay, I think we have another one for advising. So they're asking, what advice do you have for what advice do you have for first years regarding academics at UChicago?
That's a big question. I guess my first piece of advice, and I would imagine a lot of the advisors will probably say the same thing, is to be patient with yourself and to go easy on yourself. There's a balance, actually. I would say it's going to, if they don't take it seriously, they're probably going to get behind pretty quickly. But they also don't want to put themselves under so much pressure that they cause increased stress. So I think probably the biggest piece of advice I would say is, as much as it's possible to help your students kind of find that balance between putting the time and effort in that's necessary, but then not feeling as though they are constantly in competition either with themselves or their classmates, because that can be detrimental both to their academics and to their health, really.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So I think that we've exhausted the questions that have been submitted so far. So I think now we'll take some time to end with each office talking about who a parent can reach out to should they have any issues, questions, or concerns. So for my office, again, I'm with the College Dean of Students office. And any parent or guardian is certainly welcome to reach out to either myself or to the Dean of Students, Dr. Jay Ellison. All of our information can be found on the college website, college.uchicago.edu. Chris?
So students should have the contact information for their advisors. That's their first point of contact, is to reach out directly to their advisors. I believe the question was asked, we do have an advisor on call if that student's advisor is not available on a particular day. That person is there for quick questions only. If a student wants to do any kind of long-term planning or some pretty deep thinking about things, then they will be told they need to wait and schedule an appointment with their advisor. But that on-call advisor can be scheduled using the regular scheduling tool or reaching out to advising at uchicago.edu. Again, as I mentioned in my remarks earlier, you can reach out directly to your student's advisor as well. And while they generally are able to provide specific information, they can certainly help answer general questions and give you general guidance on whatever the particular question or concern might be. And by the way, it's college advising at uchicago.edu, not just advising at uchicago.edu.
Chris? Sorry, Keith?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that I just want to address, if that's okay, just briefly. One of them is, I know lounge space and what's open in the residence halls. I know there's some misinformation out there, especially on the parent page. House lounges will be open, music practice rooms will be open, study space will be open in the residence halls when students arrive. There will be a limited number of rooms closed, and that is not for COVID, but it's because we receive over 125,000 packages and we need space to store those before they get moved to student rooms. Some of those will be delivered to student rooms prior, but there will be some rooms offline for at least the first week or two because of mail delivery. Lastly, kitchens, house kitchens and community kitchens will be closed. And that's not because of COVID, but it's because of supply chain issues, and that a lot of them don't currently have appliances because we can't get them. But that's the only limitation. So it's more open than it was last year. So I just wanted to dispel any myths with that. Questions for our office, housing@uchicago.edu is the best way to get a response, 24 to 48 business hours. Our website is available as well. Always, and we have a main line that's on our website too. But information about orientation and moving, we always share with the CPO, the College Programming Office. But housing@uchicago.edu is the best way to get a response quickly before you arrive. Thank you.
Mita?
Yeah, thanks, Melinda. So for wellness resources, there's a couple different avenues. So you can go to our website, wellness.uchicago.edu, and there's a pretty long staff directory there with contact information for administrative staff as well as all staff. There's also a feedback/questions form that people can use to submit any kind of inquiries, and these are typically responded to within 24 hours. And since I'm here on the webinar today, please feel free to reach out to me, and my email ID is kumarm, KUMARM @uchicago.edu. And I'd be happy to connect you up with any of my colleagues if I'm not the right person to answer your questions.
Thanks. And Eric?
Thank you, Melinda. I did notice, there's several questions around the Midway and Midway plus launch. One of the things I did not mention, in addition to our police and our security, we do have a significant amount of technology. The use of fixed cameras, as well as fixed license plate reader technology, as well as mobile license plate reader technology. So we use all of those systems to ensure the safety of our campus, to include the public thoroughfares that are being used and being walked upon by our students, faculty, and staff. The safety escort program, I mentioned that. Please tell your students to take advantage of, if they're feeling uncomfortable walking alone, we're happy to walk with them during the evenings. And of course, more importantly, we also have a variety of transportation routes that take people to various locations, both on and off campus. I am going to put right here to everyone in the chat box our website. I encourage you to look at our website that has a bevy of contact information, to include my email. And for those that have serious concerns about safety, please feel free to email me directly. My email is emheath@uchicago.edu, and I'll be perfectly happy to set up 15 minutes to talk with you personally about the various strategies that we do and we offer here at the University of Chicago's Department of Safety and Security. So thank you.
Thanks, Eric. And there was a question also in Q&A wondering when the questions that we didn't get to, how they'll be answered. Again, we will comb through them. If there are some that are appropriate to post on the Go Forward website, we'll do that in that space. Otherwise, if there are questions that remain unanswered, you're certainly more than welcome to reach out to any of those of us who are listed, who are here presenting today. Okay, before we end, do any of the presenters want to end with any last words? Okay, well, once again, we thank you for taking the time to meet with us. Again, any follow-up, you are free to do so with any of the offices that are here today. Thank you and have a good evening.